Let's see what St. Paul has to say regarding resurrection. St. Paul, he comments on resurrected bodies in the same chapter where he says, if Christ hasn't risen, our faith is in vain, our preaching is in vain. Same chapter, 1 Corinthians chapter 15, towards the end of the chapter. St. Paul says in 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 42 to 44, he says that so also is the resurrection of the dead. It is sown in corruption, it is raised in incorruption. It is sown in dishonor, it is raised in glory. It is sown in weakness, it is raised in power. It is sown a natural body, it is raised a spiritual body. There's a natural body and there's a spiritual body. According to St. Paul, the resurrected bodies are spiritualized. They are spiritualized. Same is said by his Lord and Master, Jesus peace be upon him, in the Gospel of Luke, chapter number 20, verse number 27 to 36. If you remember the story of a woman who had 7 husbands, and the Jews come with a poser to Jesus peace be upon him. And it's a Jewish practice that if a man marries a woman, and if he dies without leaving any children, the second brother marries the wife of the deceased brother so that he can give her his seed. If the second brother dies without leaving any children, the third brother marries, so on and so forth. So here they come with a poser that this woman married 7 brothers one after the other. And all of them had her here. Means they had her as a wife here, one after the other. But there was no problem. Why? Since each one of them had turn by turn. So there was no problem. And later on, even she dies. But they pose the question to Jesus, peace be upon him, that in resurrection, who will have her there? Indicating, during resurrection, all the 7 brothers will be raised simultaneously, along with the woman who will have her there. So Jesus, peace be upon him, says in the Gospel of Luke, chapter number 20, verse 35 and 36, that resurrected bodies, they do not marry. Neither do they give in marriage. Verse 36 says that neither shall they die anymore. They are equal unto the angels. That means they shall be angelized. Resurrected body will be spiritualized. Who says that? Jesus says that. Gospel of Luke, chapter number 20, verse 36. Paul says that. 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse number 42 to 44. It's very clear cut. And there's not a single verse anywhere in the gospel which says that Jesus, peace be upon him, was resurrected. In fact, if you read, it's mentioned, if you remember the story, that after the Alice crucifixion, when the disciples, they met in the upper room, Jesus, peace be upon him, he comes. It's mentioned in the Gospel of Luke, chapter number 24, verse number 36. He comes and he says to the disciple, Shalom, in Hebrew, which means peace unto you. Next verse, Gospel of Luke, chapter 24, verse 37, says, but they were terrified and affrighted and supposed him to be a spirit. I'm asking a question. Why did the disciples think Jesus, peace be upon him, to be a spirit? Did Jesus look like a spirit? And when I asked this question to the Christians, all of them said no. And they are right. Jesus Christ, peace be upon him, did not look like a spirit when he comes to the upper room after the Alice crucifixion. So why did they think that he was a spirit? The reason is because they had heard from hearsay that the Master Jesus, peace be upon him, was put on the cross. They had learned from hearsay that he had given up the ghost, that he had died. They had learned from hearsay that he was dead and buried in the grave for 3 days. Hearsay, hearsay. You know why? Because they were not eyewitnesses. According to Mark, Gospel of Mark, chapter number 14, verse number 50, it says that all of them forsook him and fled. In the most crucial juncture in the life of Jesus, peace be upon him, when he required them the most, all the disciples, 100%, all of them, according to Mark, chapter 14, verse 50, they forsook him and fled. Who says that? Not Dr. Zakir Naik, Gospel of Mark, chapter 14, verse number 50. All of them forsook him. So it was from hearsay. Therefore they think and they thought that he was a spirit. But Jesus, peace be upon him, to clarify that out, it's mentioned in the next 2 verses. In the Gospel of Luke, chapter number 24, verse number 39 and 40, Jesus, peace be upon him, says that, behold my hands and feet. It is I myself. Handle me and see, for a spirit has no flesh and bone, as you see me have. And saying so, he shows them his hands and feet. He tells them, behold my hands and feet. It is I myself. What has happened to you? It is me, your Lord and Master Jesus, peace be upon him. Why are you affrighted? Handle me and see. Behold my hands and feet, for a spirit has no flesh and bones. What was he trying to prove by showing his hands and feet? Was he trying to prove that he was resurrected? Was he trying to prove that he was spirit? He was trying to prove that he was not a spirit. He was not resurrected. Next two verses. Gospel of Luke, chapter number 24, verse number 41 to 42. It says that they were overjoyed and they wondered. They thought he's dead, and now they're happy that the Lord and Master is alive, physical, with flesh and bones in front of them. They're happy. Jesus, peace be upon him, yet to confirm them, says that, do you have any meat here? And they gave him a piece of broiled fish and honeycomb. And he took it and he ate before them. To prove what? That he was resurrected. To prove that he was spirit. To prove that he was a physical body. He ate and he chewed in front of them a piece of broiled fish and honeycomb to prove that he was not resurrected. He was not a spirit, but he was in flesh and bones, a physical body. If no resurrection, no crucifixion, no Christianity. If you remember the story of Mary Magdalene, when she goes to the tomb of Jesus, peace be upon him, on the third day. It's mentioned in the Gospel of John, chapter number 20, verse number 1, as well as the Gospel of Mark, chapter number 16, verse number 2, that it was the first day of the week, meaning it was a Sunday. Sabbath day is Saturday for the Jews. The first day of the week is Sunday. It was the first day of the week that Mary Magdalene goes to the tomb. Now, why should Mary Magdalene go to the tomb on the third day after Jesus Christ, peace be upon him, supposedly was dead? Why should she go? The reply is given in the verse earlier, in the Gospel of Mark, chapter number 16, verse number 1, that Mary Magdalene goes to massage Jesus, peace be upon him, to anoint him. The word is anoint, which the original Hebrew word is masaha, means to massage, to rub, to anoint. And from this root word, you can even derive the Arabic word masih, or the Hebrew word Messiah, which means the anointed one, which if you translate to Greek, it means Christos,